This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on! Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast, episode 77. Have a full house tonight. Justin, a.k.a. the wannabe Winnipegger, let's say that 5 times fast, Wade, Paul Rank, and Pete, the man, the myth, the legend, north of the border, has the PegSpo Sports Collectibles Expo coming March the 8th, so we wanted to have him on. How we doing, Pete?
Good, yourself?
Not as cold as you, I think, but definitely enjoying it. I know it'll be a fun conversation to hear about the expo, hear about what you collect, all that kind of stuff here in just a few minutes. So I'm definitely glad you could join us.
No, thanks for having me. This is great. Listened to a lot of your episodes. I haven't caught up on all of them. There's been some interesting ones, and I'm glad you can help us out. Would love to talk about the expo, and hopefully we can get some of you guys from the south coming up once in a while.
Definitely.
Justin.
Yeah, Justin's done it. I've never been north of the border, so I definitely need to get up there at some point. Just like we talked before, life gets in the way.
For sure. You know what? I was really, really impressed with Devin and Megan's. They really have some interesting knowledge, and I did invite them to see. I haven't got back any information back from them yet, but I did invite them because I'd love to have a couple female collectors, just so it's not just the boys club. But it'd be great to have some female collectors come up there as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. So hopefully they get back to you on that. Couple things to touch on. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Mitch, with the lovely Drink Your Face Off line of barware and clothing. Reach out to him if you need any of that. My drink this evening is the Journeyman Distillery Last Feather Rye. Made into the old fashioned. So I don't know if that's available everywhere, but I at least was able to find it, of course, in the Midwest. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Feel bad that I went dry.
That's all right. Hey, Wade's got his Dr. Pepper, so we know we're good for sure. So the Winter Classic auction for the first period jerseys from NHL auctions ended the other day. I want to touch on a couple of the prices. Of course, we got to talk Bedard. His sold for $21,550. Worn in the first period, and I'll be curious to see if it posts who got it. But the pictures on Fanatic site, of course, they were posted before the game, so you don't know if there's any kind of real wear to it at all. And then Cam Fowler with his 1,000th NHL game, plus scoring a goal. He had what, Wade, goal in the first period and one in the second?
He scored a goal in the jersey, and one in the second. But the one in the first period was the one where he did kind of the neat celebration.
Yes.
Where he kicked his leg up. And so, I mean, I think that'll be one of those, like, images that they continue to use for the Winter Classic for a long time. The players did get the third period jerseys from the information I have attained. And now the Blues do have the photo shoot jerseys up today.
Yep, some of them.
Portion of them. Portion of them. So I a little disappointed that they didn't get the other period. But since this says only photo shoot, that leads me to believe there was actually 5 sets used for it. Photo shoot, warm up, first period, second period, and third period. So the first period are gone. The third period are obviously, according to most people, the players kept. So second period is going to be hiding somewhere in the mystery land. And I've always been told that those somehow go to the NHLPA, but I've never seen an auction of that third set pop up anywhere. Even when Fanatics had them, the Fanatics got them, the Blues got one, the players got one. And, there was always that fourth set that nobody ever knew what happened to. So now we have 2 mystery sets.
And in the disclosure, at least the description for both teams, It did not mention anything about those jerseys being worn in warm-ups,
Correct.
the first period one. So yeah, there may be definitely 5 out there. I'll see if we can do some digging. Fowler's did close at $8,520 for his, and I thought both those jerseys were sharp.
Yeah.
And speaking of playing outdoors, they dropped the Stadium Series games today, and I think those are very sharp.
Oh, yeah.
I think I like those more than I like the Blues and the Blackhawks, and I'll touch on a couple of the descriptions for both the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings, and we'll pull the pictures up here in just a second. On the Blue Jackets, they did a chevron sleeve stripe denoting the rank insignia of the era, which is kind of cool. Shoulder featuring a new CBJ mark surrounding 2 crossed hockey sticks, a nod to the unit designation pins worn on the slouch caps during the Civil War. Front crest featuring the cannon, which I love. I think that's the coolest logo of all. That's the Blue Jackets alternative logo. And of course, they fire them off at every home game. Captain alternate letters have the state of Ohio shape patch. They have the Buckeye leaf pattern inside the neck, stars in the primary logo, oversized metallic application, team logo, and player number on the helmet. Red Wings, front crest with a bold new Detroit script word mark inspired by automotive insignias. And I like how they did this. A lot of what they did with the Wings was all kind of automotive based. Laser perforated details in the word mark and back numbers, visually consistent with a car's upholstered leather interior. DeBoss speed stripes on the sleeves and socks, reminiscent of race car aesthetics. Helmet design, it has a racing stripe and the oversized wing wheel on each side. I love those helmets. Those are badass.
Yeah.
The Hemloop label, which most people don't care about, is the octopus. That's cool.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is really, really cool.
Some really, really nice touches.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's just so fun that again, outside the box a little bit here. Instead of the normal, let's change the logo a bit or we'll tweak this thing. It's very much better. Taking me just a second to get those pictures up here.
I think that's the one thing that, and I kind of had that conversation with somebody today. It seems like the Winter Classic always is going for tradition. So they're always looking back to the past or looking to something in the history of the franchise or the city. And that's the one thing about the Stadium Series games that I always think are neat. That's where they really introduce some like fresh thoughts and some fresh ideas and some neat touches. I mean, that jersey right there is just fantastic.
Yeah, and on the Columbus one, and I just quick with me, and I don't know why it took me this long to realize it, is the A's on the opposite side. And I think part of it's because the angle of the cannon, it was going to be crunched up a little higher.
Yeah. Also notice the outline of the state of Ohio is actually the outline of the A.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
The big stars on the pants, I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
The Detroit script, and I was listening to a couple of the national hockey people I listened to on podcasts with Daily Face Off, and they were talking about this as well. And they said, while it felt weird at first seeing the wing logo on the shoulder with that script, they thought it actually worked well.
Yeah.
But that helmet, it reminds me of a football helmet, but also like a center Corvette racing stripe right up the middle, and then with having the wing logos on both sides.
A little touch. I love the gloves, like the red top gloves and then the white fingers.
Yep,
those are actually cool too.
I'd love to know what a graphic designer thinks of this one because on the one hand, like these script font jerseys are like so overdone, and yet they do there's like some subtle modifications, and that one just looks really, really sharp.
It's not overdone. It's different, but it's not. Let's throw everything we can at to make it really cool. It's a balance, and I think I like it a lot. We know Paul won't buy one because there's a Fanatics flag on the back. So,
You're absolutely correct. I will
and
not.
even in the oversized numbers on these, that doesn't bother me. Some of the jerseys, the oversized numbers look out of place with the way the striping is. I think it's really solid.
Now, is that Hockey Town on the pants?
Looks that way, yes.
Very nice.
Pete, what do you think?
I'm literally just weighing both of them. I'm kind of leaning towards liking the Blue Jackets more than Detroit, but I do like them both. I'm actually a sucker for word script and simple stuff too. So I don't know. Like one of my favorite jerseys is Atlanta Thrashers. Just they had a third there with
Oh
just
yeah.
a number on the front, and that's one of my favorites. And I like the plainness sometimes, but the Blue Jackets, like their third with the cannon and that, is one of my favorites. And I literally bought one. Has my last name on it, ironically, for a kid that didn't play, but I bought it for that reason because it's one of my favorites as well. So yeah, these will be sharp. Really
And I
nice.
do like the shoulder script, the CBJ with the cross sticks. That's and again, for anybody that doesn't know or didn't understand when I was explaining the description of why they did this, is it's all Civil War based. So they're using those looks and that CBJ cross. You use similar version of that. You'd see them on the hats of the Civil War soldiers with whatever group or division they were with. So I love that, and I hope they use that patch and that script in future things because that is really cool.
I just have the one Columbus image here of theirs. Do they just have the number on the helmet, on the one on the left side, or is there something else on the other side?
I
They have a large 8, like a number on the left side. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see a good helmet photo anywhere for them, and I haven't seen many details. I'll have to do some digging into that. And then the final picture here is that little hem tag as the octopus eyes.
Oh, that is
It's
cool.
a neat little. It's a cool touch, especially because it's purple. It just sticks out completely different from the jersey. I know that may be a selling point for some people, not Paul, but other people.
They put some thought into it. You got to give them credit for that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Wade's right. Is so often you see Winter Classic a little bit more conservative. This you get a little bit more out there, but I'm a fan of both. I don't find anything wrong in either one. I can't wait to see them on the ice.
Yeah, I give them both huge scores. Like this is one of the first ones where I'm like, holy cow, they really hit a home run on both jerseys.
And we know they'll sell high because those are both just beautiful setups.
I talked to somebody go ahead. I talked to somebody who's a Columbus fan and he wasn't totally sold on their jersey, which I was shocked. But I said, well, from the outside looking in, I said from everyone that I've talked to, they're home runs. So I don't think he's getting a cheap one.
No, highly doubtful. So the man of the hour, north of the border, got your expo. How many years has it been for your expo now?
Well, it'll be 6, but interrupted by COVID for a couple. So the first one we did in 2019, and then right away COVID took us out for the following year. And it almost sounds like when we say the years that the first one we did in October, and then we decided to roll it into March. So basically it was about a 2.5-year hiatus. So we took. And the first one, to be honest, I'm pretty much an open book. I lost about $3,000 on out of pocket.
Ouch.
And you know what? It happens. I was willing to lose some. It was a little more than I had hoped. And then COVID hit, and I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to go out without trying again. So we tried it again, but we did have to introduce the cards and memorabilia and that because Winnipeg, unfortunately, will not sustain just a game worn jersey expo like this. Not on the level that I kind of want to make it. So when we introduced that was our break even, which is all that we want to do. I've never taken a wage out of this once. I haven't taken a dime. Neither has I have a friend that kind of partners up with me and helps me around the show too. And we just roll everything back right into the show to make the next one better. So yeah, it was a tough start, but now it's kind of sustaining itself. The room sustains itself easily. The rest of it is the peripheral stuff, the autograph signers, all that we try to bring in.
And
that we never ever make money on.
well, I want to get into all that stuff in a minute, but
Sure.
we're gonna dial it back a second here too. How did you get started in hockey collecting?
You know what? I started in cards when it started back up, and when I was a kid, I had them obviously, and then I gave away all my Gretzky's because I didn't think they were worth anything. And then when 0506 and the whole Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin rookie year started up, I got back into it. But more, I was actually a Trechak collector. So I was probably one of the largest. I was doing this checklist. I think was missing only a couple cards, but I was getting honestly, and I don't know how much you follow the hockey cards, but in the game was getting ridiculous with just reusing pictures, and it just stopped being fun. So I cleared it out, and I cleared it out just in time before it kind of crashed when Brian Price started bringing out all this vault stuff and shutting it down. So that's another thing entirely different on the sports side of it. But that's how I started it. And when I sold that collection, I just happened to be at a sports store here, and they said, "Now what?" So they said, "Well, this Pavlik kid's coming up." So I started collecting Pavlik, and then within the cards, all of a sudden I came across a jersey, and I picked up that jersey and said, "Hey, this is a lot better than that piece that I have on the card." And that's literally where it took
That's
off.
slightly bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bigger. Yeah, better patches.
Now, how long did it take you once you got that first jersey? How long did it kind of take you to realize there's a whole hobby here and there's a lot of other people that are just like me?
To be honest, I was picking off some jerseys and that, more sticking to the Pavlik PC. And then, he retired too. And it was more or less, I started getting into it more into Facebook and groups around 2018. And that's when somebody reached out in Winnipeg and says, "Jesus, we should really do an expo in Winnipeg." I'm like, "Well, I work at the convention center here in Winnipeg." So I said, "I think I can get this done." And that's what started it. And I probably took off from that point because I found out as soon as you get into these groups, there's a lot of good people finding stuff for you, but it's not good for your wallet.
No,
Uh,
that is definitely true for all of us in this podcast can speak for that.
yeah, no, absolutely. And that was really the case, what started it. And like I said, when Pavlik retired, I'm like, okay, I had pretty much a jersey. Every one was jerseys from every team, except from one in the Czech Republic during the lockout. And I didn't know what next to do. So then my next step up was to try to pick off one gamer from each Czech goalie that played in North America.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm only 12 away, so you can see that I got out of hand a bit quick.
But it's interesting though, as you weigh these dates out, in all reality haven't been collecting all that long.
No, I'm pretty green, and that's why I don't really try to put in too much information because it's for me, I'm still learning a lot. Um, at our show, we've had some really, really tenured collectors, and I was really impressed with their knowledge. And like they can just pick apart a jersey and let you know exactly what it is from when it was. I'm nowhere near that. I know some of my stuff, but a lot of it I depend on what I'm getting, that it's factual. I try to do my homework and due diligence. It's only happened a couple times where I've been caught, but for the most part, I have plenty of good friend collectors that have helped me as well along the way. So yeah, like I'm really green, so I don't claim to be any expert on anything. I have people coming to me, and I will always deflect them to the people that I know will give the right answers.
And I mean, I don't consider you green because when you putting these expos and stuff together and working hard at things, but not knowing your background, I just naturally assumed you'd been in it for 10, 12, 15, 20 years. So
No, no, not at all. No.
but that's awesome that you kind of picked this up quick and said, "Hey, let's get an expo together." So when you first started talking to people about doing one, kind of what was your thoughts on that, and kind of what was your thinking how you could pull it off?
Well, it was basically for me, it was just getting actual collectors in. Like working at the convention center, I see it on a daily basis. So the setup, how to design it. The question always was is how big do I start the first one? How many? I made the booths really, really affordable. The first booths, and that's why I lost money too, were $60 a piece because I wanted to fill the room. That was important. So I was willing to take a bit of a loss to fill the room type of thing. And then ironically, I went to school with Trevor Kidd. We weren't exactly the best of friends, but I reached out to him. asked him to be my first signer and that. So, that cost me a couple of K. And I got the friend and family discount apparently. But so yeah, that's how it was to start. Just how big a room I can fill, how many people. People didn't know me from a hole in the ground either. So how do you trust that I'm gonna give this guy money and he's actually gonna put this show on? There's always that lack of trust, and especially these days, it's worse, unfortunately. But some people knew me and some didn't, and they took a risk. And I had collectors coming from Alberta. I had Justin came up as well. So I was happy to at least have people come, attend it. And then we just wanted to see if we can take it off and make it bigger as we go.
And how once you close the door, I guess once you open the doors, the first day of your first expo, how did you feel through that day?
I I was glad to see it come together. Obviously, we put a lot of work in, and we set up the room and everything. Like it's not. We do the pipe and drape and everything. Like it's about stepping it up a bit from like the community center look. We want it to look like a little bit more, lack of a better term, elegant. Like the community centers, they have their place. Don't get me wrong. Like that's a great place to get together. But I wanted to have it where people came in and then your jerseys were on the pipe and drape, and it made it just jump out at you. So I was very nervous, and my main concern was is how many people are going to come through the door. And had a few friends buy extra tickets and that, but I think we had 130 total. And we had, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was right around 30 like tables or booths. I call them booths, but some of them are doubles and some singles or whatever. But we only had the 30. So, and I literally ran into a guy yesterday. They had the 50th anniversary, and the guy said he was at the first one. He said, yeah, it was really lots of content, but it was small. I said, yeah, but you got to start somewhere, right? So,
sure. So you get through the first day or get through the expo. Once you wrapped up, how did you feel at that point? You've gone through this and saw what seemed to be a decent turnout. I'm assuming got decent feedback from the collectors coming to have tables.
yeah, we found out one of the biggest thing is we just couldn't advertise enough. I was pretty Facebook green even at that time. Not an Instagram guy. I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you what that little lineage and timeline was on when Instagram came out. But when it came out to social media, I wasn't really. I did what I could. I put up posters throughout the city, put them up at the LCS at the stores and rinks and stuff, and did what I could to try to bring it in. I knew there was no way in heck that we actually broke even or at all. So we just took it as hey, it's the first one, but we got it off the ground and let's keep going. And we knew we gained some traction, and then COVID, and we had to start all over. So
yeah, definitely unfortunate for all of that, but and again, thank God a little bit for social media during that time, because we could all stay connected, and if teams were still selling jerseys or people could trade stuff, if you could get to the post office, but we at least were all still able to stay in contact and not be completely cut off. And feel free, anybody else, if you've got questions for Pete, jump in on it too. Justin.
Well, that was to this day the single coolest collecting experience I've ever had. That first one in 19. The venue's awesome. You've got a lot of easy things within walking distance. It looks good. It was just like, that's such a good word for it, elegant. I mean, I go to the ones that are hosted in August at the community centers, and it's definitely more low key. But that first one and the ones I've gone to as an attendee are you get such exposure to really, really interesting pieces. It's not the same old, like what are it's just such a diverse array of like Jets jerseys and memorabilia. So attending it is a trip into itself. And so Pete deserves a lot of credit for plugging away at it over the years.
and we like you've been a really big promoter of our show, and we appreciate that too. Like honestly, you've never said a bad word about it, and we have no problem if you do have something bad. That's what how we're gonna learn from that stuff. But yeah, if I recall, well, you were late for the first one.
Yeah,
Rough night before, Justin.
Generally, I like to enjoy the fine sights and sounds of Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that beer and strip clubs? Is that what I heard?
Not beer and strip clubs, but restaurants we don't get here in town.
I think if I remember correctly, I think I asked you to fill out a second booth because the guy didn't even show up, right? I
I
think
think
that
you
was
did,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So, but I mean, and that's like I said, that's our goal. We didn't want to have an empty room. So, and ironic, I believe what happened is he had gotten sick, and that's why he couldn't make it. But we're trying to make sure that we have a full room. And honestly, this year it's 83 booths.
Wow.
that's crazy.
And I honestly believe I'm going to have to turn away people.
Good for you.
I actually closed off the registration to finalize my floor plan. And sorry if I'm getting ahead of you here, Jay.
You're good.
Yeah. I closed off the registration so we could finalize the floor plan, and I just generated an email so they can just send me and put them in the queue. But the way that's already going, as we started to advertise a bit, I've been really quiet over the last few months as far as posting anything because the room was filling up quick. And I knew that might take off, and I don't think we're ready to expand to the next level yet. So that being said, we will be filled up. I believe it will be 83 booths. Yeah.
But that's with really only having this with the COVID shutdown, not being able to do it then, and you're only now in 2025. That's got to be a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
I know it's a little frustrating probably because I know you'd love to have every one of them, but that shows that Winnipeg has a draw for this.
It does. And I'll be honest, like opening it up to cards and memorabilia as well. I don't want the Pokemon stuff. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to keep it mainstream sport. Um, and everything authentic when it comes to even, replica jerseys and all that stuff. But that was what helped us. And you know what? We have some Justin knows Garth, amazing collection. He's a wealth of knowledge, and the amount of people that come through there, and I this is the way I set up the show, and it's a little selfish, but I try to make sure that everyone that comes through the front door is forced to go through all the game worn stuff first before they can get to the cards. And then you find out how many people know very little about it, and then you've got their ear. I have usually goalie gear of some sort there. As a small kid that throws a glove on, you can just see the shine in his face, and that's what we're trying to generate. Get the collectors, back in, get them into it, get the kids into it. We offer the kids 12 and under for free, so we try to, get them in with the parents, and it's been growing, and like you said, yeah, it's been great to see that this is the problem we're having, yeah, for sure.
Biggest surprise from any of your shows is something you didn't expect, some positive thing or reaction, or just I mean, something that caught you off guard on one of your shows is something you saw or something somebody brought in or somebody else's reaction.
Oh, wow. You know what? I've never considered that. Usually I'm running around. I don't get to enjoy my own show.
I
But
know somebody else on that podcast that does a lot of that same thing.
yeah, and you get it. And this year I've actually delegated that where I've hired a local radio DJ to do my emceeing so that I can free myself up.
Cool.
He's he's willing to do it on a volunteer basis. I'm not going to do that to him. I mean, the guy's helping me out. I want to give him a bit of cash for sure, but he's looking forward to it, and that probably will release me so that I can spend time, meet up with the actual exhibitors and stuff. But as far as one set thing, I don't know if I've had anything like where I've just been completely caught off guard. I think one of the biggest things last year I had up because I had a few extra boosts. I grabbed all my game worn gear. I have a full setup of Mrazek, full set of Pavlik. I have a full set of Czech Manics. I brought that. I threw that in a booth, and I put a sign that says "Try me." And the kids throwing up like Czech Manics pads up to their chin and getting mom to take pictures and stuff like that. To me, is what stood out because that's why I do it. I want people to enjoy it, and that is the key. Um, I've literally had only one guy upset, and he was pissed off because he had to pay for the autographs, and he went on a tear on me. And then I stepped outside with him, and I told him, I said, "Listen, do you know how much it cost for me to have these guys sit on that stage and sign for you?" And then I told him a number, and it was pretty quick that he was quiet. And I said, "Go inside, get your free autographs, and whatever you're posting," because he was on his phone the whole time. Whatever you're posting, remove it. And that was 2 years ago, and we don't we don't try to make money on things. Like we try to make it affordable. Where this year's packages, we have John Montgomery, Nick Dembski from the Blue Bombers, and Ryan Strasnitsky, who are going to be actual paid signing guests. We have a package that includes an 8x10 for each one of them for $60 Canadian.
Wow.
You're not going to get that anywhere. And it's like, and again, that's not what we're not trying to generate money. We're trying to cover the guests. And I know that's not going to, it hasn't ever happened yet.
Yeah.
So, and with us getting John Montgomery in, that's definitely not going to happen.
Now,
So
for anybody that doesn't know, tell them who your signers are, what their backgrounds are.
Sorry, yeah. John Montgomery, he's a 2010 Vancouver Olympic skeleton champion, and he's also the host of the Amazing Race Canada. We chose to go with him, and there's another background to this, but we chose to go with him because when we spoke to him, he was willing to do a lot of extra stuff for us when it comes to like interviews with media, help us with Instagram, Twitter, post on it, like included in all his fees. Also, he's going to do a live auction. So we're going to have, as of right now, it's a 50-50 with Manitoba Possible. We donate, our other hockey team actually donates a sledge hockey sled every year to Manitoba Possible for a kid that can't afford to play. So they're struggling a bit. So John's going to do a live auction. We'll have about 4 or 5 prizes. One of them right now includes a game worn, practice worn. I haven't been able to photo match them. Connor Hellbuck pads that Josh donated to us.
Wow.
Yes. And then also John brings his whole package. John, the famous thing with John was when he won the gold medal in Vancouver, he was walking down the streets of Whistler and somebody from a bar handed him a pitcher of beer while he was walking with his helmet and everything. So that's the iconic picture from the 2010 Olympics and him drinking it. So he brings a pitcher and you can get it signed. He's bringing the gold medal so you can wear that as well. Take a picture with him. So we got a bit off track, but bottom line is that he's willing to do a lot for us to help promote the show. Whereas some of the other higher end hockey guys and stuff that we get, it's kind of a la carte. So you get them so long for signing, but if you want an Instagram, now you start, it's thousands of dollars for a post. Like, it's amazing how much money is sorted around it. And that's the one thing I definitely didn't expect with the signers. I always try to get in touch with them outside of agents and stuff like that to just work a cash deal with them of some sort. But that's the hardest thing that we've had is to get signers. But John, he's a Manitoba boy as well, and he's coming in. He's going to see his family, so he gave us a bit of a discount on his appearance fee. But it's gonna, with the live auction and everything, and he's really personable. I think it's gonna be a good thing. At the very least, we're gonna get lots of advertising out of it. And if worse comes to worse, so we're down a bit of money and we can recoup it in future years. But again, trying to just bring the people through the door is what the most important thing is for us.
It's fun going. I mean, last year I went as an attendee and I showed up and I was like, what? There was a line just to even get in, and so a number of things like I was going through my photos. There was like Hasek jerseys. There was like old Golden Seal jerseys. There was just like the diversity. It was just all over the place. And are you gonna have I like the DocNoyes. I got a DocNoyes jersey. And the basketball team, are they potentially coming back this year?
DocNoyes potentially. I have spoken to them, and they're still on the fence because they're wondering if they have enough, even just merchandise or anything to sell. So I am in touch with them, and I've been contacting them on a monthly basis. So I'm hoping to get some kind of commitment. The Winnipeg Sea Bears basketball, they're coming back, and they up their game. And last year, because I discussed it with her name was Stephanie. She's moved on, but I said, like, you need to get some game worn stuff, like stuff that you can sell. That moves well. She goes, yeah, we're going to look into this entirely. So I gave her a bunch of tips, and they just took off. And the new girl, Megan, that I'm speaking with, I spoke to her, and she says, we have so much game worn stuff. So I don't know what they're bringing, but they're going to have a lot of game worn stuff this year, apparently. So last year, they were more kind of hawking their merchandise and stuff like that. But this year, I think it's going to be a lot of game worn.
Sounds like Justin's bringing back basketball jerseys now.
I need my first game worn basketball jersey. I've got, even though we have a baseball team that is a rival of the DocNoyes, I'm going to stock up because, it's nice to get out of the hockey jersey bubble, and it's nice to collect some memorabilia of, the Sea Bears, such an awesome color scheme, and Yeah, I'll probably
I don't
basketball jersey or two.
I don't know if you actually heard, but the signer we had from the Seabears last year, he passed away.
Oh,
no.
He had a brain aneurysm during training, yeah, and they operated on him, and I believe he was 33 years old. He passed away. Yeah, he was training, and it was just a shock. They had apparently just a huge funeral for him and that, but as quiet as it's kind of kept, where I'm gonna try to invite. He was really excited to bring his dad to our show because he really likes the stuff. So we're gonna send out some tickets and try to invite him and see if we can get him in. Obviously it's no consolation, but just just to thank him and just to bring him in. Just something nice to do. But it's unfortunate, and the guy was great, and he was willing to help us get other basketball players and that, and just he was just generally loved in the community. He did lots of stuff with kids and basketball camps and everything. Just larger than life. And yeah, you know what? You got to enjoy it. You don't know when time's up, eh?
Yeah.
And you've got a couple other signers, and David Ayers is coming back as well.
David Ayers is great. He's a great guy. I had a lot of fun with him. I actually consider him a friend now after last year. But I talked to him probably 2 months before the show last year, and he was changing careers, and he didn't know if he was going to be able to take the time off. So it was a no, and then all of a sudden he called me. I believe it was like 10 days before the show, and he says, "Hey, I can come down." And first instinct in my head was, "No, I'm not going to pay for this." And then said, "You know what? To heck with it." I didn't have enough time to advertise it, but I still brought him down. And yeah, so I figured I'd bring him back this year, but he's going to be a free signer, so you can meet him, talk to him. We'll have some like just 5x7 pictures for him to sign. He's also bringing. He has his own line of merchandise, or clothing, hats. It's called Bug Life, so backup goalie life. So he'll have that, some of that stuff. So you can buy that. And if you buy that, we're gonna throw in a signed 8x10 for you as well. So we're just like again, we're just trying to get back to the community and trying to get people through the door and let them have a good time and an affordable time. Have a family come out, and it's not going to cost them an arm or a leg. We are licensed, so I can't control your spouses or anything. So there, you can have beers, you can have wine. We're going to have a relaxation center, a little area in the corner with couches and that, because we found out last year there's a lot of tag-alongs, mums, dads, whomever, that really don't want to be there. But you give them a beer in their hand and they're okay. They're content. So we created an area for them to kind of chill out and relax.
Yeah. Very cool.
And no, and it is a family thing, but some people may get a little bored with it or whatever. But that's awesome that you've thought of that, and being in that industry probably helped, because you see it in all these other shows and different things. Is you had the advantage of being on the inside for knowing how to lay the show out, knowing the piping and draping and all those kind of things, and different than somebody like Wade, who also puts on an awesome expo, but doesn't know or hasn't dealt with those finer things like you have with doing setups constantly for events.
Yeah, like granted, absolutely, I do see it. So that definitely helps it matter. And you know what, Paul? It's one of those things that every year just gets easier when it comes down to it. Things that have caused you grief before are not the problem that they once were, right? So that being said, I had a leg up as a start for it, but I was actually at the convention center 19. I would have only been there a year and a half when I did the first one, or 2 years. So, but again, you see it all. You see what works, what doesn't. But again, I think what brought us on to try to make sure it's an affordable event is that you go to the card shops and that, and a pack of cards is like, $15. Like, kids they're pushed right out of the hobby.
Yeah.
Jerseys, you can't even talk about that. So
I was a card shop today. Friend owns a shop, wonderful shop here in my area, and I hopped behind the counter and we were looking at stuff, and I think a pack of Series 1, upper deck from this year is I think $12, and that's it's just crazy.
It's a buck a card.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And you're right. There was a dad came in and he bought 3 packs of cards for his kid. But he got 3 packs. It's not like when we were kids and you walked in and you had saved up and somebody got you a box of cards. A box of them is $100 plus.
Exactly.
Definitely interesting.
It is, and like I said, that's kind of what we're trying to do.
I love hearing you. Yeah, I love hearing you talk about keeping it affordable. I think that's obviously. I mean, in Winnipeg and St. Louis, in San Jose. I think no matter where we are, I think we're all trying to promote the hobby and also make it where, like you said, you want people to walk in there and touch stuff and see stuff and grow their passion for it. And I applaud you for your efforts. So it's awesome to hear somebody doing that out there. And so thank you for doing that for our hobby.
No, I appreciate it, and that's literally what kind of fuels me through the year. But like we were supposed to go tomorrow. Tomorrow got canceled, but this weekend is Manitoba Moose minor hockey weekend, and we're talking about cards here. What we do is we actually staple a flyer to a 10-pack of just base cards, and when the kids come running by, we just give them the cards. I mean, I packed up 300 packs, so there's 3,000 cards, and you think if you're buying that, it's actually 3K. Like, one
crazy.
box, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Very cool though.
Thank you. No, appreciate it. Yeah.
So in the handful of years you've done this now, what's the, like, if somebody else was thinking about starting a show somewhere, what's one of the biggest things you've learned over these handful of years now doing them?
I strongly believe unless you have a large base of collectors that you know you can get, is probably start small so that you literally don't get overwhelmed.
No.
Because it's a lot of time. I put in hours, I mean days and days. Like it's not something that happens overnight. But I think the larger you go, the tougher it gets. When you start slow, you kind of, like we progressed, we had 2 rooms, then to 3, and then this year we're full 4. So it's 19,000 square feet, I think is what it is this year.
Wow.
But as we grew it, that stuff just got easier. You knew how to set up your booths, what you can get away with, what you can't. Still, one of the things I'm fighting with is actually for our room is getting something that goes smooth. If we do have a good crowd of people looking to get signed, autographs signed, we have a bit of a cattle walk system like within stanchions and that, but it's never seems to work smooth enough for us. We've introduced tap. We've gotten POS systems. Last year we had 1, and Justin's gone. So
he turned off his camera. I think he's fighting with something, but
but no, but Justin would probably know when he came through last year, it was a bit of a gong show because we only had the 1 POS, right?
Yeah.
We had a list, and it was like, okay, first you pay, then there's autographs, then we also have another 50-50 raffle. So we're trying to do it all with the 1 POS system, and that didn't work, so we had to expand it this year. But that's the growing pains that you go with it. So starting out, if you have a good sized base, you can go a bit larger, but and try not to do too much too quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things. Like autograph signers, I started with 1. I've always been over what I plan. I've always planned for a couple, and then I end up with 3. Last year I ended up with 5. And so it's like I just kind of go for it because sometimes things happen at the last minute. And Wayne Babbage last year was one of the last minuters too we had. So, but that would probably be my best advice. And ask the guys that have done it. I don't think we're all a closed book. I have no problem helping somebody out to get going, or I promote everything that happens in the city on our website too, as far as card shows, jersey, whatever. I try to promote everyone else's shows as well that are in the States. Like, granted, it might not get readily found on our website, but I do try to update it. I'm not always on top of the game, but I think talking to the guys that have done it, and Paul, like, I'm pretty sure you must have it by now relatively figured out, I would think.
It's different every year is one thing. I think one of the advantages you have is that you have a set place for it.
Right.
We lost the place we've done the last 3 or 4 shows basically due to Google buying the properties. So we don't have access to that. So we've gone to a new location this year for the San Jose show, which we will, it should work really well. But, it was a lot of effort to find a new place. And
Right.
That always seems to be one of the stumbling blocks. And I know for like the April show in St. Louis, Wade did a lot of groundwork to find a place that's going to work for that. And I know that was not easy.
I think The thing I've discovered in the whole thing is when you think you've got it figured out is when something new pops up, right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
Pete, you know that too, and I know Paul does. We talk about it all the time. As soon as you think you've got it kind of like, oh, I got this all squared up, that's when like something tricky pops up and you're like, oh, now I got to figure this out. So
Well, and so there, I mean, there are two of these events in Winnipeg each year, and the one in August is much smaller. And I know every year it's a struggle to find a community center, and I actually like the where Pete has his just because it's centrally located. It is a high-end facility. I like going to I actually show at the one in August because it's more of a social gathering for me and less about seeing collections. But I think Pete's really figured it out in terms of using that space wisely. Whereas in August, sometimes it's just finding a venue. And last year, the August one was a bit out of town. So yeah, I think you've learned a lot, and it's a nice contrast to August because you get a chance to see just so much, just a richer tapestry of sports memorabilia, and the
Yeah.
cards are cool, the basketball, the baseball team. It's just a lot. It's just so dynamic.
Yeah, there's again, yeah, we're very lucky having the spot. And honestly, I couldn't make this as affordable as I do if I didn't work there. I mean, I get a deal on the rooms, and that really is what is a saving grace for that. But yeah, if you've got to chase a location, then you're behind the eight ball right out of the gate. You can't even start to design a show when you don't know what the room's gonna look like. So it's pretty tough to do that. But yeah, I can't say much more than the fact that we are lucky. And even like our August get together is great. The only unfortunate thing with that is we all kind of know each other and we're on top of what most guys have collected. And that's why I do like our show because there's so many people coming in that have zero clue. And last year I was literally hoarse with just talking to people just about what I had in front of me. And I heard that from so many people that they just love the interaction. And a lot of people met. I think Sean landed a Nux jersey there that he would have never got had he not come to the show. So there are some perks to it, and as it grows more and more, I would strongly think that the chances of you finding something or a grail might be more of a chance. But
I did 3 trades at the March one, including one with you, as I was on my way out the door.
yeah, I got hosed on that one.
Ouch.
No, I was
All right, now I'm
happy to
feeling
take it.
sure.
I was happy to take it. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was great. Yeah, but no, carry on, Jay. There's still more I can tell you, but I don't want to interrupt what your line of thought is.
Well,
No, you're
actually, sorry,
go ahead.
Doc.
Go ahead,
I'm a
Paul.
little bit curious. I mean, I did not realize the show was this massive.
yeah, that's
I mean, I've heard about it, but I've 4 rooms, and you said what, 80 booths, roughly.
83, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge undertaking. I mean that's just incredible, and I do plan on making it up there one of these years for the show. I
We'd
know,
love to have
Justin.
you.
I promised I will do that.
I've said it to you too, so we owe
Yeah,
it to each other, I guess. So
yeah. No, I'm in the midst of renewing my passport, and I need that for the Germany show. But I don't know if I can make it this March, but next March would be great. But what I know and you're coming out to San Jose, Justin, in March anyhow. We're already booked. What I am curious about is what's the breakdown between game worn jerseys at your show, cards, and other stuff?
so my goal has always been to keep it half game worn.
Nice.
We're a little below that, and it's not for lack of trying. Trying to get I've held booths for guys with game worn collections to ensure that I maintain that. Because I want that to be part of it. I never want it to go away. And you know what, honestly, and I keep telling everybody that without our game worn collectors, we don't have a show. I like having the cards. It's something that I'm into, but I really enjoy the game worn side of it, and that's why I want to make sure that they have a spot to show off their collections. So I'm struggling with getting some guys out of the basement. Some are nervous because they're afraid their collection may get known, and then suddenly they get robbed. And I get it. I totally understand that. But I keep working on these guys every year, and as they see it getting bigger, they seem to be a little bit more almost willing. But and actually, March, I've gotten a lot of people that decide to take their holidays or like to go for a warm trip from from up here to somewhere south. So I found that sometimes is a bit of a hurdle as well. But my goal is we're a little bit under the 50% mark, but definitely 100% above on the quality.
But I mean, you're talking approximately 40 tables of game worn stuff. That is really impressive.
It'll be a little bit less than that. Yeah, a little bit less than that. But yeah. And like I said, I'm not done with a couple of collectors. I'm still trying to get them in. And there's some guys that have massive collections that they just choose not to join us.
So this is probably a little bit off topic though, but as you're talking about getting other collectors in and people like Justin, there happens to be a border between where the four of us live and your show in Winnipeg. Are there any problems getting the jerseys across and back across the border for the shows? Have you heard of any issues? And Justin might want to chime in here too.
No,
I'd let Justin take this one all the way because he's the one that has dealt with it for every year. So
no, I've not had any issues. I print out a manifest of what I bring up, and sometimes I've been stopped. I think the first year they went through, and I was actually dropping something off at Keener's shop in 19 to get done, and I was like, well, how do you explain that? But no, I mean, most of the time it's just like how long you're going up there for, and I'm transparent. I mean, if ever asked, I will be glad to have a manifest, and most of the time what I'm bringing in is well below the threshold. So you'll get asked, did you buy anything? And I bought a jersey for $200, and I have not had an issue going north. There was actually a card show in this side of the border this summer. The guy was from Winnipeg, and he said the same thing. As long as you document everything, as long as you have a list of everything, that you're not likely to get hassled. So I think it's just more like, what are you doing in the country versus are you up there? And if this were like a different type of hobby, I can understand maybe a little bit more scrutiny. But I'm like, you want to see a couple old Binghamton hockey jerseys, you're more than welcome to go through my stuff, and that's it.
No, that's a completely fair question. Is when you're hauling large amounts of anything, sometimes people get questioning, what are you doing and where are you going? But no, Paul, that's a fantastic question. That wouldn't even cross my mind.
I actually did ask Migrate if they would want to come up, and their answer to me was that it was a logistical nightmare for them.
Yeah.
So and obviously that would be a lot larger volume, or I'm sure value as well too. So that would come into play. I can understand that.
I think I'm the only collector from the States who goes. There's some in Grand Forks. There's a couple of us here in Fargo. I keep trying. I keep begging. There's a big Sabres collector in town. I want to get him to go, and I don't know. It's definitely worth the drive. And the fact that Pete, you've been lucky because the community there is so supportive of each other and so supportive of you too. Like it is very. I wouldn't say there's a lot of cliques in the sort of Winnipeg collectors groups. Everyone largely, I think, gets along, and so that helps. And combined with great event planning, you do have a recipe for good success.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I'd love to see more people come in. I lost when I split it up to the cards as well. I lost a couple of collectors as well, but I'm slowly trying to get them back and say, listen, like it's. Garth is one of our best.
Such a collection too.
Yeah, it's such an amazing collection. Yeah, and he's such a huge supporter of us too, and he just loves the fact no matter who it is, whether you're into cards or into anything, he just wants to talk about it. So I think a lot of people that maybe would have a little bit of fear that it's that we have so many different types of collectibles that they'd be afraid to come down, but I think they'd be pleasantly surprised that. It's actually pretty fun. So
and to get outside of the bubble, it's really cool. This year I'm gonna make it a point. I didn't talk to David Ayers, and I'm still kicking myself for not talking to Trevor Kidd in 19. This year I'm gonna try to get an autograph.
If that's any consolation, he even remember me, and I went to school with him. I don't feel bad.
I'll have to have you pick me up since I'm a goalie too. Pick me up a Bug Life shirt or hat while you're up there.
We're both goalies. I am too. I do the
I,
same thing as you. I play out on Saturdays. I run a morning 7 a.m. skate. 7 a.m.
Ooh.
You know what? I've got 2 full lines every Saturday morning. And
that,
I don't play goal, but I play as a player, and I love it. So
and see, I rotate back and forth. This week, I skated out because I had some new pro skates I got from
I
through the
heard, yeah.
I wanted to try, and yeah, I've been in net last few weeks, and hey, I suck at both positions, but it's so enjoyable to play, and it's always cool to see that e-bug stuff happen. And so yeah, Justin, I'll send you up some money to pick me up some things.
You know what? Last year his hoodies I think were $40, and the hats were I think 20. But yeah, I he's gonna be bringing up some of it, so I'll tell him to make sure he brings up a couple extra.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I know you said you're super busy during the shows with running it, but what is the coolest or piece that just was like, holy cow, I can't believe this is in my room from any of your shows?
That was one of them was probably 2019 when a collector named Rob from out in Alberta had 372 series Team Canada jerseys, and one of them being Tony Esposito's.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see where that would catch you off guard.
yeah, and it's actually some are buried in on our website. You'll find that there's some pictures on the PegSpo website from past years, and you'll probably see it there. And what he rolled up in with a carry-on was remarkable. It was just unbelievable. But he's one of the guys I'm trying to get back. I spoke to him, and I think I might. You find a lot of people get burnt out with the hobby at times, and they need to step away from it before they miss it. So I think he's back on the mend. I think he just kind of got a little bit burnt out. And people can do that to you, right? Sometimes the hobby can be difficult, just interactions and stuff. So I think we might get him on the coming back. But we have David coming from Alberta as well, and he's gonna have 1951 Mercury's Stanley Cup jersey. No, sorry, Olympic jersey, I believe it is. But he's a very knowledgeable person, and he has everything from cards to game worn stuff, and it's all high end. So I've seen some. He had Jacques Plante's Oilers jersey. So this is the kind of stuff that he finds. So we've had some interesting things come through there. You know what? Josh is talking about bringing a smaller Hellebuck collection, but I'm going to try to convince him to beef it up because it's absolutely amazing what he has. And again, Josh, he donated a set of pads for our live auction. I think we talked about this before we went live, eh?
Yeah, but no, that's awesome that you're doing that. One, you're able to do those kind of things, but like we've talked with Wade's show and Paul's show and the other expos that we've had, people that run those, is the stuff that comes through the door and the stuff that people show, may not be for sale, but they just brought for show. Whatever they're doing, is the history that's in that room is insane, and
Yes.
especially when maybe you get a young kid whose dad grew up watching hockey, and even just show them the old wool jerseys. Yeah, you see these fancy cool new ones the NHL players wear. That's what the NHL guys used to wear, and it's wool and it's tiny, and you realize how small the hockey players were even. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
and
those things that you get to touch or be in front of that otherwise you may only see in pictures or never knew existed.
And that's exactly what I did last year because I brought 70s, late 70s, early 80s Cooper goalie gear, including upper body stuff, helmets, gloves, pads, and put them beside Chuck Manick stuff, which is 90s or whatever. Well, actually, that was early 2000s, sorry. And the difference in it, and you could just see the kids grabbing it, and that's one of the funnest things is just watching kids get involved with it, and even the parents start all of a sudden see the kid grab it, then they say, "Oh, don't touch that," and then I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, touch it." And then the parents are on it and everything, and it's yeah, it's fun. So there's so much history, and I think that's one of the big things. You have to come in there with that mentality of try to connect it to a certain time or a certain event, and then it shows a lot more to you. And you'd be amazed at how many people just like hearing the stories. They don't even necessarily might not even be interested, but they think it's cool just to hear how you found it, how you got it, where it's from, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so many times that we've seen that with Wade's show in St. Louis is wandering around the room and somebody may have a jersey of a team that I don't really care about or don't know much about, but I see a cool repair or it's an older one or whatever. You start talking about it, and then it's a hour conversation you've had with somebody and learn what their passion is or what's so cool about this, and just to be able to learn outside of whatever our focus is, because it's fun to make those connections.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also fun to just to hear how people get on certain PC collections, like things that they collect or why they honed in on certain things. There's lots of it seems to go back to youth or something that triggered them, and then just we bring it back when we can afford it, kind of thing. But yeah, it's great to just see the people enjoy everything. And like I said, that's why I kind of force them through the game war and stuff, because that seems to be the least known side of things. Everyone knows the cards, they all see the patches and the cards and stuff. But now, like, if you have a card, like I've shown a kid, like, hey, see this patch? That's exactly what they cut out of this jersey, so they know where it came from, and it gives them a bit of a link to it, and also.
Now, have you had anybody that came in there that was kind of more card focused and walked out with a game jersey?
Yeah, and actually, one of them, ironically, won. His first game jersey was a Wheat Kings gamer that he won in the door prize, because we have usually 5 to 8 door prizes, and we always try to include some form of a game worn jersey in there. And he won the Wheat Kings jersey, and he says this is one of, I think, many, because this is awesome. He just loved holding it. So it's amazing. And actually, a guy that won, we had a 50-50 raffle. The guy that won that, ironically, was a Pavlik collector, and he's been following my collection all along. And I knew the name, I didn't know who he was, and so he ended up buying Pavlik stuff for me too. So um, I have, again, one of the biggest problems is that I get deep into the show and I just don't get to enjoy these, and that's why I'm trying to spread that out this year. So I'll have an MC that can handle some of this stuff. He'll have his own itinerary, and then hopefully I can wander around and get a better beat on really what's there. I see it as it's being set up, and I get to quickly look at it, but I don't get to spend the time to talk to the guys on everything that they have.
Yes, definitely do that. I with being at Wade's show, I tried to a lot of times push him to go wander around more and get away from the door and help kind of cover that for him, just so you get to enjoy some of that. I definitely hope you get that this year, as be able to even just take that step back, stand in a corner, stand somewhere in a room and just look around and take the environment in for a minute, and so you can enjoy what you put together, because I know, talking to Wade, from the time he starts planning the next one, it's constant. And you, like you said before we came on starting to record, you start in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not earlier.
My suggestion though, Pete, is to take that minute and look around. And like one thing I always make sure I do is I do try to get around, and mine's not as big as yours. I mean, I'm about half the size of it, but I just try to get around and just say hi to everybody just for a minute. But I take that minute to look around and see what's been put together by myself and Doc and all the other people that are involved in putting it together. And I'm like, that's always a cool moment to have. It keeps me motivated for the next one.
For sure. And you know what? You had asked me that earlier, Jason, like if there was something that really shocked me. It was last year, and I'm not gonna even I'm not gonna clean this up, but I poked my head out at about 5 to 9, and one of the people that I work with, he had said they had to put stanchions out because there was a lineup. And I kind of took it for, I'm like, what kind of lineup could there be? And I walked out and I looked, and I came back in. I looked at my buddy and I go, holy fuck, there's a fucking lineup out there.
But
that was kind of like, that was like the great. Okay, then like we can now kind of relax that we at least have people coming through. So
that's how you've made it moment.
What it is, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but that's that moment that will stick with you, of what I've done has got people's attention, has got people interested, and it's not just going to be the collectors at the booths talking to each other. It's outside people that may see this for the first time, and you may have now started a future hobbyist by what you've done.
Yeah. In some ways, like I think a lot of, I think a lot of the smaller ones across the country can learn from what Pete has done in terms of finding a location, working with really decent signers who are not just kind of fly by nights, and just kind of or fly by, just kind of bouncing in and out, and just like making it more than just swapping stories about, you know, CCMs and Adidas and Fanatics jerseys. Like it's just so much more dynamic than I think what you're probably getting at other gatherings across the country.
We hope that we just keep growing and then people just keep coming through. And like I said, it's anything that we make, we just try to roll it back in. We literally run ourselves as a not for profit. I've never taken a wage, so um, just trying to make it better and better. And if it's somewhere that a family can look forward to coming to every year, and if they know it's affordable. Unfortunately, I don't control the concessions and the beers and that, so they're usually a little bit more. But
Yeah.
as far as the rest of it goes, we try to make sure that they have some fun and they can come in there and still have money in their pocket to buy something if they want that one card, or they don't feel like they've dropped $200. And a lot of people can't even afford to go to a Jets game because like we have the Winnipeg Jets in Manitoba Moose right there. They have their game worn program there. A lot of people can't even afford to go to those games. So this is an affordable option for them to get to see the same thing that people see at the games and have the opportunity to buy as well.
So to kind of just wrap this up, because it's getting late, but I think we could talk for hours on your expo and just and expo stuff in general. Is I'm trying to come up with the best way to ask this. Is what do you see the future of this, and what is something that you could, if you needed to get people in the door, what's one thing you'd love to tell them is why they should come to this?
The one thing that I think is a sellable point is you literally have everything under one roof because we have the game worn, we have cards, we have jerseys. We have people that bring jerseys, replica jerseys or whatever to sell as well. I do my best to ensure that it's not any Chinese knockoff or anything like that. I stress that we want everything licensed. We have actually publisher coming in. He wrote a book on the Kenora Thistles and about 10 other books as well. We have a sports artist coming in. So we literally have everything under one roof. So you know what? If it's one thing that maybe doesn't catch your fancy, then hopefully it's something else at the show. And it's all in that one thing. And we give back. We have two 50/50s this year, one for the Dream Factory, one for Manitoba Possible. Again, we have free signers. So really your value in your ticket, we'll have 5 to 8 door prizes. We've also actually this year introduced an Easter egg hunt, Amazing Race kind of inspired Easter egg hunt. I've created 4 clues, and they're going to have to find an item amongst all the booths. And I haven't made it easy. So, and with that, whoever finds these items, they'll get a Amazing Race clue card that's signed by John Montgomery. And so far, I have 3 of the 4 prizes have game used items as well. So we're trying to give back to. It makes what we want is to ensure that people that come through the door. It's $10 if you pre-buy your ticket, which is really nothing. 2 for 25, or if you're just there by yourself, it's 15. But at least you feel that you're getting some value, or even if it's a chance to win a prize, you've got some value for your buck to come in there. That's our goal. But again, the main thing is everything's under one roof, and there's a lot there.
So, and I think we may have touched on this, but we've covered so much. Is give me the dates, the time, the location, and all those finer details for anybody that's
Finer
to
details.
try and get up there.
It's on Saturday, March 8th, at the RBC Convention Center in Winnipeg. Winnipeg Convention Center is pretty much in the heart of Winnipeg. We do have a little bit of a discount if you're coming from out of town with the hotel next door. You don't even have to go outside. There's a skywalk that joins that hotel to the show, and there is underground parking as well. It's heated, and that's pretty much the gist of it. We're hoping that we get a good turnout, and it goes from 9 till 5. So we found sometimes the 5 o'clock towards the end it gets a little bit gets thinned out a bit, but we just want people to that maybe have to work and can come later to check it out, so they have an opportunity as well. There is a Moose game that day too, so we're hoping even people, if they come check out the show before the Moose game, and then have to make a day of it. So that's pretty much it.
That's awesome, and I hope you have a huge line out the door, waiting to get in like you did before. And I think it's so awesome that you do this. And again, we push, probably to the annoyance of some people that listen to this show, push people going to an expo somewhere. And if they have no way to get to one, or you've got just other collectors in your area, start one. Like Pete said, like we've said in the past, it doesn't have to be a big one. It can be 5 guys at a back room of a VFW or whatever it is. But
sure.
it's not just for the jerseys. It's the interaction with other people, of learning what they collect, of making those in-person connections. Because like we've said, Zoom is good, Facebook Messenger, all that stuff. But getting in front of people is way different.
I've learned one thing I have learned a lot is, and maybe Wade and Paul can say the same, but I found, I always concentrate on advertising and social media, all that stuff. But when you talk to somebody and they ask you what you do, don't be afraid to include that because they get interested real quick.
Yeah.
I was at a get together yesterday. I talked to 3 people and they're all coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so don't be afraid to mention it. And even if you're talking amongst friends or whatever, let them know because again, all of us got into this hobby somehow, and it's usually somebody tugged us into it. So just by starting out that way, we're just going to grow it.
I started a new job a few months ago, and my new coworkers have discovered my jersey passion, and it's just funny to listen to them, ask about what I've gotten. And like most of them knew the Winter Classic one was closing the other night, so I came in the next day and they're all like, "So who'd you get? How did the auction go?" And it's pretty funny to see their excitement and learning about what I do with our hobby and stuff. So I agree. It's neat to see. It's neat to try to grow it that way too. I agree 1,000%. I try to put it on my regular Facebook. Just my regular friends, and they, hey, come check this out. This is my thing.
For sure. I mean, people know about it in the Czech Republic. I mean, I have family out there, so I mean, I bring it up there. I've got friend collectors in the Czech Republic and said, hey, you guys got to come down.
That's awesome.
It's not exactly an affordable event for them, but yeah, the more you tell, the better off it is. I think the only downfall for us as in this hobby is not being able to control the prices where they're going. I think that's unfortunately it's leaving a lot of us in the wake, and it's gonna definitely hurt the growth of it. But I mean, maybe it'll slow down. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely right now. It's a weird time in the hobby. The one thing, and we've talked about it on the show, and I've been talking about it a lot. It's amazing to see what stuff sells for an auction, and then watching people try to secondarily sell things and struggle to have anybody even be interested. It's a really odd thing that I've noticed. It's kind of getting worse, I think. Probably a topic for another show.
I still think the most important thing that has to come out in these days is a breathalyzer before you can log into an auction site. Because I've woken up a few times thinking, dear God, what did I do?
Yeah.
I'm pretty brave with the bid now button when I'm loaded.
Yeah. Different ball game.
Yeah.
Hearing on this podcast doesn't help, actually.
No, for sure.
It's funny. Hey, I'm going to jump in on one thing I think, Doc, we missed was the Migray LA Kings set, the discovered Wayne Gretzky set.
Yes, I had in my notes to mention earlier. You're right. Completely glossed over it. Is out at Migray on their auction site, the Wayne Gretzky Retirement Night Jersey auction, which ends on February the 3rd. There's some interesting pieces out here. There's the Chevy King style with the 99 patch on front, worn in the 3rd period. It's not clear from the description if Migray had all these, or because they're tagged with the Migray tags from back then. If the Kings had them, if they went into storage, what the hell happened? But these are from 2002.
It's a set of 18, so it's almost a full night period set. So I would love to hear if there's. I wish if there was a story, I wish we would have heard it before the auction, because I think it would have been a neat selling point if there is one. I just wonder if a bin got lost, or suddenly somebody at the Kings pulled it out and said, "Oh my God, what are these? These belong to Migray. We got to get them to them." Or if Migray had a bin somewhere and said, "Holy cow, look what we just found." or if it was a collector who maybe bought almost the whole period and has now decided to sell them as a full set or to break up a set of them. It's a pretty incredible thing, and neat to see something like that pop up.
Yeah, I mean, big names in here. You got Jamie Storr, Ken Belanger, Matthias Nordstrom, Craig Johnson, Ian LaPerriere, Brian Smolinski. Now it's interesting. Let me look at that one more time because I swear at least one of them had two. Who else in here? Jason Allison, Chris McAlpine, old blues player. But yeah, I mean they're beautiful jerseys. It'd be interesting to see. They have 18 days to go where they close, and we'll definitely track that with the podcast.
Yeah, I thought it was really neat. I thought it was neat they popped up, and if anybody from Migrate is listening and there is a story, I would love to hear it so we could share it.
Yeah, love to get you guys. I mean, get somebody on if they want to come on and discuss a little bit. And one other thing I forgot to mention, I believe in there, forgot to ask info on is Paul. One of your shows is just around the corner.
Yep. February 1st here in San Jose. This year we're at Calder's, which is a bar in Sharks Ice. They have what is it, five rinks there, I think it is now, and it's also where the Barracuda play. So it's February 1st, starting at doors open at 9 o'clock. We're finalizing the table list, but it's looking pretty good for what we'll have there. Besides a lot of collectors, the Sharks Pro Shop are going to have a table there, so it'll be interesting to see what they bring out. And the Barracuda will also be bringing some of their stuff out.
Oh, nice.
There, it's just like the Winnipeg Expo. There's a Barracuda game at night, and that's their Pink in the Rink game against Henderson, the Vegas Golden Knights affiliate. We have another game Friday night, which we're doing a get together at also. Same matchup, but no specialty jersey or anything. And we're looking forward to getting, a good turnout. What's interesting about this show compared to other shows we've done, this bar overlooks two of the rinks there. And during the day, especially on the weekends, it's usually full with people watching their kids or other people playing hockey on those two rinks. So we should have a lot of walkthrough traffic besides all the advertising Mr. Mitch has been doing on all the social media sites. We're getting a lot of responses of people who don't have tables but are going to be there to check things out. And in similar to Winnipeg, we will have not nearly the same magnitude, but some people with cards, bobbleheads, T-shirts, and stuff related to hockey at a much lower price point. The other thing is we charge for setup, for the tables and stuff, but admission is free for everyone to get in there. We don't have a signer or, anyone like that, at least as far as I know. That could always change at the last minute. And, the bar will be open, I believe, at 9 a.m., possibly during setup if we're lucky. And lots of good beers on tap and, whiskey and other stuff. And a good kitchen over at Casey's where you can just order food within Calder's and have it brought over to you. Ideally, we're going to leave up a little bit of the sofa area so people have a place to sit down, chat, eat whatever. Because I cannot eat at my table at an expo. I always have to get away from the jerseys. It's just paranoid. So
it sounds like a great venue, though. Like the location sounds like it'd be great.
Oh yeah, we're really excited to be there. The Poorhouse Bistro had hosted us for a number of years, but they no longer have. It was a small concert facility they had there, which is great. It was my only complaint about the Poorhouse site, besides it being gone now, is that it was a little bit dark in there. They didn't have great lighting. We should have better lighting here within Calder's because sometimes as you're looking at details on wear and stuff, you end up taking out a flashlight or something at them.
For sure, yeah.
The old location, but this should be perfectly fine here.
I think like you said, your walkthrough traffic could be really, really good. That's great.
Oh, I'm expecting a large amount of walkthrough traffic, and then we'll break down before the game. I can either run jerseys home for people, or we have a place to stash them at the ice rink there, Tech CU. And it's looking forward to it. And as you said, it's a lot of work setting these things up. I know Wade and Doc also know this. Justin, you got to host one of these years. But it okay, maybe not. It is a lot of work and effort and time, and just with trying to get everything all set up. And it's the first couple hours during setup, I just find is absolutely insane. Just getting everything, we have like 2 hours to set up, get everything up there. And I'm lucky because Monica's there with me. So once things are settled down, one of us can walk around and the other person can man the table.
Yeah.
Which we're really lucky, fortunate about. And we're not at the magnitude of Pete's show. So should not be dealing with too many issues. And if we are, I'll just send them to Mitch. He can take
I do think one year, though, Paul, you and Mitch do need to go to Pete's show because of the room he has. You can bring the Zamboni inside and show it off.
Will they let him take that across
how this is going to work is they're going to fly into Fargo, and we're just going to take the very long way up 29 and all the way into Winnipeg. And if you do this, I will lobby Keener so you can get a tour of his shop, because I went up to see Keener's facility last year, and that was for the authentic snobs out there, it's kind of a almost a place. It's you have to make the pilgrimage. So
it's unfortunate that he doesn't do just the one-off jerseys anymore, because he does really nice work.
Yeah,
really
because he showed up at a couple of them. It's just as walking through the door. But so last year I was up, I popped over, and like even then I was like, oh man, because had a really good business. So and he
for sure,
kind of gone a little bit quiet in the hobby, but still one of our more noteworthy individuals.
Well, if you're taking that Zamboni up, might want to Google how to survive hypothermia.
Well, I'm more concerned about how do I get it through customs.
Yeah,
that might be a problem too. Huh?
Yeah,
awesome.
Or not. You might be able to just take it off road.
It's like a bad David Lynch movie. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I know. I'm devastated. It's and that was my original idea, to have David do a documentary of us driving the Zamboni from here to, well, probably 20, 30 miles until it, dies out. But it would be a feature short. But no, it actually is in good shape, and you will get to see the Zamboni in March, Justin. So that's
single coolest thing in the entire hobby. Gordie Howe jerseys be damned. There is nothing more exciting than a freaking Zamboni.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to set a beer on it. I want to take in the fumes.
Pretty much a trump card when it comes to the collectibles. Eh? I got a Zamboni. Okay, you win.
and no, we are not bringing the Zamboni to our show. It was enough work to get it away from there. Now we're not going to bring it back this time, but
someday,
maybe. I do like that idea. Someday we will, get it out of show.
Yes. Well, again, it's been another phenomenal show. Pete, I wish you the best on your expo up there, and I can't wait to see pictures and hear stories from Justin about it. And every expo we hear about, we want to do well. We want to hear new stories and new cool jerseys that appeared there and all that stuff, because even though we're far away, we have been to one, so we know what it feels like in that excitement. Yep. And I hope you get all of that in March.
I just want to mention too that with our signers this year, because we went a little deep into the pockets, we actually ended up getting a few friends of ours that own companies that actually sponsored us. So we have Ryan Strazynski as well coming, who's one of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash survivors. So we have him. He's going to come in actually a day early. He's going to do he's going to skate with Manitoba Possible with the sledge hockey team as well. So and do an interview. So that was sponsored by St. Over Telecom, friends of mine. I had to go outside. I tried to get mainstream sports sponsors, and it's nearly impossible. And my other one is Ultima Cabinet Works, where I used to work, and they were willing to help with John Montgomery. And we also have Nick Dembski that's going to be signing from the Blue Bombers. So just want to make sure I get a shout out to them, because they've been phenomenally. We're trying to get a few more sponsors that we can partner up with and keep getting better signers every year. So hopefully that happens, and we'll have this talk where we're talking, somebody really big that is going to come to our show. But that requires quite a bit of cash, so we might be a little bit ways away from that, though. But I do appreciate you guys having us on and letting us talk about it. And I could talk about it for hours because I've spent so much time on it. But look, we've done probably enough damage to the.
And I do hope, and I know you, when you're in it, you probably don't wish it was over. But once it actually ends and you shut the doors, I hope you get a well-deserved break at the end.
I'll be shit-faced.
You know what? And Justin will be right next to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, he shake your head. No, don't.
I have to drive home. I don't want to be crossing the border hammered. So I gotta get myself across the border.
You gotta come out Friday night and enjoy. Like,
that's the source of it. I'm
that?
always trying to get the band together.
Oh,
on those Friday nights. You guys are busy setting up.
What's that?
You guys are too busy setting up on that Friday night.
Last year was bad. We didn't get the room till like 4:30, and I left there at 2, and I got up. I went home, slept for 3 hours, got up at 5, and went back. We got it so late, and we had to set up. That would have been probably about 15,000 square feet we were trying to set up at that time, and it was just, I was done. And to be honest, when the show was going on, I was just a blur. I had an interview with CTV News. I really don't even know what I spit out. It was just a mess.
Well, hopefully, like I say, with the assistance you said you'll have this year, hopefully you get it's a little less stressful, more enjoyable for you. But again, Pete, best of luck. You're welcome.
And I wish you guys too, Paul and Wade. I wish you all the best too for your shows. I know what it's like to set them up, and I just hope they just meet your expectations when those days happen. And like you said, and I think it's important for us to sit back, try to enjoy some of it. You put the work in, try to get some of the enjoyment out.
I agree. Thank you for coming on tonight.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are welcome back anytime. It was fun learning how you got this going. And again, like I said, I thought you were much longer into the hobby, and it's cool to hear how quick you jumped in to from just collecting to doing an expo. So
I'm not the brightest bulb on the string. So.
No, it is totally awesome. But Pete, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And again, thanks for all the listeners. Continue to give us like, subscribe, do all that stuff across all these different places you hear it. We may not be back next week. We're working on some scheduling because Wade's going to be at a Blues game, and it looks like I may be going to that game as well next Thursday. So there may or may not be a show. I'm still trying to navigate some details on that. So if we don't see you next week, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, shoot us a message if you want to come on, if you have things you want us to cover, all that kind of things. We will gladly take it. We'll see you next time.